So, obviously Iran will deny that it wants nuclear weapons. It will cite the fact that its supreme leader, the Ayatollah, issued a fatwa, a religious edict, against attempts to acquire a nuclear weapon. It will say all kinds of things about how it wants a civilian program. I think U.S. intelligence, and not just the Bush administration, the Obama administration, and today the Trump administration, will all have said that at least in the period preceding 2003, there was an active military program, or a program that had a military dimension. One could ask why they would do it, and then you could say, well, they live in a neighborhood where they're surrounded on the one hand by, surrounded, broadly speaking, by Israel, by the U.S. presence in Iraq, the U.S. presence in Afghanistan, by Pakistan, which has a nuclear weapon, India, that has a nuclear weapon. And so basically for its own security, a country that lived through one of the most brutal wars of the contemporary era, the war with Iraq, which lasted about 10 years, with about 1 million people being killed, in which the entire world sided with Iraq, even though Iraq was using chemical weapons against Iran. So deep in the Iranian psyche is the notion that they have to defend themselves by themselves, that they need to have autonomous ability to protect themselves in a violent neighborhood, and to project their power in a neighborhood in which they have strong interests. So my assessment has been that they always had it at least as a potential scenario, which is to acquire a nuclear weapon. There was a parallel route they were following, a covert route, to try to be in a position to at least be what one calls a threshold state, a turnkey away from being able to acquire a nuclear weapon. Many reasons, but many countries have that same calculation. North Korea, India, Pakistan, who feel like for their own security and also their power projection, having a nuclear weapon is much cheaper, much more available than developing the kind of military that in any event they don't have the means to acquire. They cannot compete with Israel or with the United States or with others in the region. But getting a nuclear weapon would have been that insurance policy against being attacked, and perhaps giving them greater leverage in what they're trying to do outside their country. The nuclear agreement that was reached in 2015, in my view, but it's not just my view, I think most experts and countries other than the US under President Trump would say that that agreement was working in terms of setting way back Iran's nuclear program and preventing them from acquiring a nuclear weapon, at least for a very long period of time, and during that period of time, other steps could be taken to solidify that and to make sure that Iran would live up to its commitment, which it made in this agreement and elsewhere, but it made in this agreement, that it would never seek to acquire or develop a nuclear weapon.